Hi guys, LCFifa here, and welcome to my 88 rated mid-icon Petr Cech player review. This guy's a new icon this year, and I was quite excited about him being added because he was one of the all-time greatest goalkeepers in the Premier League. In fact, the last time I used Cech in FIFA was his inform in FIFA 19 2 years ago, which I reviewed on this channel. Anyway, as you can see on screen, this is the team I started him in: Cech in goal, Reguilon, Gomez, Van Dijk and Semedo in defence, Lo Celso, Torreira and Allen in midfield, with Son, Rodrigo and Lucas in attack. Cech is 6'5", is left footed and has a 1-star skill moves and a 3-star weak foot. Moving on to his in-game stats, I use him with both basic and glove, and he played the best for me with basic. This takes all of his stats up by +5, apart from his sprint speed, so he enters the 90s in diving, handling, reflexes and positioning. He has the long throw trait, team player and cautious with crosses trait. I'll quickly show his icon profile on screen for any of you that are interested. Just as a summary, this card is supposed to represent Cech moving from Chelsea to Arsenal and his success between 2015 and 2017. So I'll start with his diving, which for me was fairly solid. The majority of the time he uses two hands when diving to stop the ball, and will occasionally throw his 6'5" frame in front of the ball if it's needed. He does have the traditional goalkeeper type playstyle, where his dives are a little slower animation wise, but he does manage to get a solid stop on the ball. His height and diving combination means he has a great reach and overall coverage of the goal. So Cech is capable of saving even some of the best placed shots, heading for the corners of the net. It should also make him a little more difficult to chip, as we get the animations that allow him to reach up into the air, to grab the ball or touch it away from the goal. His reflexes are a major part of his ability to save close range shots. As I mentioned before, his diving animations do seem a little bit slower than some of the other goalkeepers I've used recently, so with him at least having 88 reflexes, allows Cech to react to the shot quickly enough to enter and complete the diving animation in order to save the shot. It didn't matter what height the shot was at, he managed to reach up into the top corners or get down low to the ground quickly and push the ball away from the goal. He did actually surprise me on a few occasions with some of the reflex saves he made so close to the net. Distribution wise, this card was great. When kicking it out of his hands, it's got a good amount of power and accuracy behind the ball to kick it into your opponent's half. It's not as good as the top end kicking goalkeepers like Edison, but I've got to say, I didn't really notice much difference between Cech's 79 kicking and those with mid 80s. When it came to flat kicking off the ground in open play, he was also really great at getting height and distance on the ball to stop any potential danger. I actually kept forgetting he was left footed and was using his right foot a lot of the time, and he still never let me down even with a 3-star weak foot. He does also have the long throw trait, which is just another added bonus, as it allows you to throw the ball out quickly and accurately to one of your players up to around the halfway line. Positioning for the most part was good on this card. Against players taking shots one-on-one, he was really solid for me, and he was always stood in the right place at the right time. You can see from some of the clips he doesn't need to dive that far before reaching to save the shot. His diving and height also play a part in it, but without the correct starting position to begin with, even badly placed shots can end up in the goal. But thankfully Cech was always lined up correctly against the attacker to give himself the best chance of making the save. Where issues start to appear is against crosses, passes inside the box, or unexpected changes in the ball's direction. Obviously you can't expect your keeper to save these types of attacks all the time because they're very difficult to stop, but I did concede a few goals that I thought he maybe should have got a hand to. Against corners you do need to hold down Y or triangle if you want him to commit to coming out most of the time. I do have his instructions on comes to crosses to help counter his trait, and I'd recommend anyone that uses him to do the same, as without it he will barely rush out. His speed is just average, which you can probably expect based on his stats. He's capable of rushing out to pressure forwards into taking shots early, or take the ball away from them, either by grabbing it or knocking it out of their possession. However, there were a couple of occasions where he's just a little too slow to get to the player in time before they could take the shot off, placing it past him. This is where a faster goalkeeper probably would have made it out on time to stop the attack rather than conceding a goal. The last thing to mention is his handling, which for me was a little disappointing. You'd think based on his stat and the fact he makes a lot of two-handed saves that he'd do a decent job of holding onto the ball. It wasn't awful, but I wouldn't say it was any different to the more acrobatic goalkeepers I've tried recently with mid-80s handling. He does open you up to a few rebounds every now and again, which isn't great. This was nowhere near as bad as Yashin in terms of pushing the ball back into open play, but it's something to be aware of. So overall, I'm going to give 88 Cech an 8.3 out of 10. I'd say he's a solid keeper, and if he pops up in icon swaps or something similar as an untradeable player, I wouldn't write him off and avoid the card. He does have good diving and reflexes, and his positioning in one-on-ones is up there with the best I've used. I think just based on his price and stats though, you'd expect a little bit more from him. He did feel like some of the other taller goalkeepers in this game like Courtois, who already gives good links in FIFA 21 and is a fraction of the cost. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe, and to request any future content, please leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll be sure to reply.